Hi, this is Katrina Weiss broadcasting live from Seattle, and here is my presentation, Improving Assessment with the Backward Design Model. First off, this Prezi is skipping to the end goal or destination of the road theme here because in the backward design model as taught by Wiggins and McTighe, you as the teacher start your instructional planning with your end goal in mind. The end goal of this Prezi is for you, the audience, to get a clear idea of the 3 stages of backward design, especially as it relates to assessment, and see a content-specific example from my perspective working with ELL elementary students. As a side note, I know you all already know all about backwards design, but thank you for watching this video anyways. So what is backward design? The backward design model is based on the premise that the teacher should know and strategically plan where students are going in their learning goals so that the students can successfully meet those learning goals. Thus, you start with the end results in mind. If the students are going to get anywhere, the teacher needs to know and direct where they are going. Otherwise, the students and teacher will go nowhere. So how do you do backwards design? Here's the how-to overview, and then I will go more deeply into each one. So stage 1, plan desired results. Stage 2, plan assessment evidence. Stage 3, plan learning activities. Stage 1 is where the teacher should clarify and outline the expected student learning outcomes. This should include content standards, essential questions and understandings, and the knowledge or vocabulary students are expected to learn. Next, in stage 2, the teacher should decide how to accurately measure student learning outcomes. Performance tasks are one necessary assessment tool, and other types of assessments such as quizzes, tests, homework, and observations can also be used. The key is to get those assessment tools ready during stage 2 so that you can plan learning activities that will scaffold your students to learn and know the material. When you know what the target is, you can aim for it better. Last, in stage 3, is where the teacher plans learning activities. These should be strategically selected for the purpose of successfully guiding student learning to meet the learning goals you outlined in stage 1. Although you are not teaching to the test, you should have learning activities that will prepare your students to demonstrate their understanding when they do the performance task or other assessment tool. The activities should be engaging, but the learning and not the fun activities themselves should be the main point. So here is a graphic to summarize how backward design is different from typical or traditional classroom instruction. Traditionally, the first thing many teachers do is plan the activities or the material they want to cover, and then sort of fit in assessments at the end. The problem with that, according to Wiggins and McTighe, is that the focus is either on the activities themselves or the act of covering the material, and usually students do not come away with the learning that the teacher hoped they would. On the other hand, backward design puts assessment selection before activities mapping during instructional planning. At first, it was a little confusing to me because it seemed like teaching to the test if you plan what assessment you're going to give before you plan the learning activities, but I see now that there can be more purpose and meaningful learning in the activities if you know ahead of time what skills the activities should teach. So, how can this improve assessment? When both the learning activities and the assessment tools that measure student learning are strategically planned to facilitate student learning, the learning that actually occurs is a lot more on track with the learning goals. When teachers focus on trying to cover all the material or trying to do fun activities, these are what gets emphasized. When that happens, less emphasis is placed on meeting the learning goals, and many students do not learn what the teacher hoped they would learn. By starting instead with the end goal in mind, backwards design seeks to remedy that. Beyond just summative assessment, backward design provides a lot of opportunities for formative assessment during the learning activities. Wiggins and McTighe state that in the learning activities, students should have many opportunities to rethink their understanding, revise their work, and self-evaluate. You, as the teacher, should take lots of opportunities to give students formative feedback as their learning progresses. Here is my example from ELD. As a substitute teacher, I am not in any one class very often, so I'll share an example of how I would make changes in my instructional planning if I did have a full-time classroom. Once upon a time, the year I taught ELL bilingual 4th grade, I did not do the backwards design model. I started with the district curriculum map and the standards, but after that I would plan some activities and assessment was usually an afterthought. In ELD, one thing I taught was describing people, places, and things using nouns, pronouns, and adjectives. I would usually do a mini lesson modeling how to use the target language and then invite a proficient student to be my partner and model with me for the whole class, and then turn the rest of the class loose to practice saying sentences with each other. The problem with that was that I didn't plan a clear way to assess the students other than circulating and listening in to students practicing with each other. Since I did not have an assessment tool prepared, I tried to take mental notes, but I ended up without recorded data of student learning. Next time, I would keep the activity where the students practiced with each other, but I would plan ahead and create a rubric to use as an assessment tool while I listened to students. That way, I would be able to record student data as well as be able to provide students with specific feedback on what to work on next. So that just about concludes this Prezi. And here are a few closing quotes I will leave you with, as well as my reference list. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a good rest of your week.